Strasbourg, a bustling city in the heart of the Holy Roman Empire. The year is 1518. The summer heat is oppressive, but something far stranger and more terrifying than a heat wave is about to descend upon its citizens. It begins not with a cough, a fever, or a cry of war, but with a dance. In mid-July, a woman known as Frau Trophäa stepped out of her home and began to dance. There was no music. Her movements were not joyful, but convulsive. Her face, a mask of exhaustion. She danced for hours, until she collapsed from exhaustion, only to rise again and continue. She danced for 6 days straight. Within a week, she was not alone. Dozens of others had joined her, their bodies seemingly possessed by the same unstoppable urge. Within a month, the number had swelled to 400. The city of Strasbourg was in the grip of a terrifying and inexplicable phenomenon, a dancing plague. What was it that forced hundreds of people to dance themselves to exhaustion, injury, and in some cases, to death? Was it a curse, a poison, or something even stranger, locked within the human mind itself? To understand the dancing plague, we must first understand the world it emerged from. Strasbourg in 1518 was a city on edge. The people were suffering from severe famine, poverty, and the ravages of diseases like smallpox and syphilis. Their lives were steeped in superstition and a deep, abiding fear of God's wrath. It was in this pressure cooker of anxiety that Frau Trophäa began her marathon dance. At first, the city's leaders and physicians were baffled. Consulting the local guild of physicians, they ruled out astrological and supernatural causes. Their diagnosis? Hot blood, a natural disease caused by an overheated temperament. The remedy they prescribed seems bizarre to us today. They believed the dancers needed to dance the fever out. The city council ordered the guild halls and open-air markets to be cleared. They even constructed a large wooden stage for the dancers, hoping they would simply tire themselves out. They went even further, hiring professional musicians to provide a beat, thinking it would help regulate the dancers' movements. But this well-intentioned cure had a catastrophic effect. The music and the public spectacle seemed only to encourage more people to join the frenzied crowd. The sight of hundreds of people jerking and twitching day and night, their feet bloodied and their bodies failing, turned Strasbourg from a city into a living nightmare. The hot blood theory was clearly not working. People were dying from heart attacks, strokes, and sheer exhaustion. Panicked, the city leaders changed their approach. They now declared the plague was the work of a vengeful saint, Saint Vitus, and prescribed a religious solution. The dancers were to be taken to a shrine dedicated to him in the nearby hills. But modern science has other theories. One of the most persistent scientific theories blames a fungus called ergot, which grows on damp rye, the grain used by the poor of Strasbourg to make their bread. Ergot contains a chemical, ergotamine, from which LSD is derived. Ingesting ergot-contaminated bread can cause a condition known as ergotism, leading to muscle spasms, convulsions, and vivid hallucinations. This seems like a perfect fit. However, historians point out some flaws. While ergotism causes spasms, it doesn't typically lead to the coordinated day-long dancing described in the accounts. Furthermore, ergotism often restricts blood flow, which would make such endurance dancing nearly impossible. While it may have been a contributing factor, it's unlikely to be the sole cause. Today, most historians and psychologists favor a different explanation: mass psychogenic illness, more commonly known as mass hysteria. This is when psychological distress manifests as physical symptoms in a large group of people with no organic cause. Remember the conditions in Strasbourg: extreme poverty, starvation, and rampant disease. The population was living under unbearable psychological stress. In such an environment, The human mind can be terrifyingly suggestible. Their deep-seated Christian beliefs also included the very real possibility of divine curses, and legends of Saint Vitus punishing sinners with a dancing plague already existed. In this view, Frau Trophea entered a trance-like state, perhaps triggered by her personal distress. In the hyper-anxious and superstitious environment, her neighbors saw her behavior, and their own brains, primed by fear, triggered the same symptoms. It was a psychic contagion. The authorities' reaction, building a stage and hiring musicians, inadvertently legitimized the phenomenon, signaling to everyone that this was a real, uncontrollable event, making it spread even faster. After a month of terror, the city council banned all music and dancing. The dancers were rounded up, put into wagons, and taken to the mountain shrine of Saint Vitus to pray for forgiveness. There they were given small crosses and red shoes, and led around a golden statue of the saint. And then, as mysteriously as it began, the dancing plague subsided. By early September, the last of the dancers had ceased their frantic movements. The fever had broken. But the memory of those terrible summer weeks lingered, a chilling chapter in the city's history. And it was not an isolated incident. Similar dancing manias were recorded across Europe in the medieval period, though none were as large or as well documented as the event in 1518. The dancing plague of 1518 remains a profound historical mystery. We will likely never know the exact cause with absolute certainty. It was probably a perfect storm, a convergence of factors. Perhaps some were suffering from ergot poisoning, but the phenomenon was likely ignited and spread by the potent force of mass psychogenic illness, fanned by the flames of famine, fear, and faith. The story serves as a terrifying reminder of the power of the mind and the fragility of human society. It shows how, under the right conditions of stress and belief, our own thoughts can become a contagion. The fever of the feet may have subsided 500 years ago, but the echo of that desperate dance serves as a timeless warning. If you were as mesmerized by the mystery of the dancing plague as I was, please give this video a like and subscribe for more incredible stories from our past. And I'd love to know what you think in the comments. What do you believe was the true cause? A poison, a curse, or the sheer power of mass hysteria? Thanks for watching.